morning pages, what are they and why bother? I've been doing the morning pages on and off since 2006 when somebody said to me, have you heard of the morning pages? I think she might have mentioned Julia Cameron's name, and I think she might have mentioned this book called The Artist's Way, but I never got the book. I just was like, okay, I can do those pages. I'll do the pages. Let's do the pages. When I say on and off, it's a little bit more off than on in the first 10 years, probably a little bit more off than on. But I immediately was very drawn to the idea of the morning pages. So what are they? It's just something that you do ideally, as soon as you get up, out of the bed, you open up your notebook, yes, paper notebook, and you pick up a pen, or in this case, a lip liner, and you just brain dump. You just write out whatever comes into your head, stream of consciousness. It's not meant to be poetry, it's not meant to be it's not meant to be anything other than brain dump, stream of consciousness, blah, 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 blah. There have been times when I have in fact written a blah, 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 blah in my morning pages. And there have also been times when I have written, I don't know what to write, I've got nothing to write, I don't know what to write, what shall I write, or some variation of that in the book over and over again until a thought comes in and replaces that. And that is something that Julia herself actually recommends that you do when you're sat in front of this paper not knowing what to write. The idea is that the pen never stops moving. Keep that pen moving, keep that pen moving for 3 full pages. I've heard lately a lot of resistance on the morning pages, and I'm confused because for me, I just think they're a beautiful thing. Sure, they're not going to be for everyone, but I kind of think that they are. I would say the people who struggle the most with the morning pages are probably writers, because they want everything that they write to be like magic. And the morning pages are not that. They can be quite grumbly. They can be quite whiny. They can be quite, oh, my back hurts. I'm tired. Why did so-and-so do such and such? You know, they can be quite, they can make us seem quite negative. But the point of that is to, like, then it's not here anymore. You've just, you've blurted it out, and then you can go about your day and enjoy your day. Just go out and enjoy your day and play and do whatever, you know. But these morning pages are just one tool of many that are introduced to us in a book called The Artist's Way, which, despite owning more than once, I have never completed. So like I said, for 10 years, just did the morning pages on and off, more off than on in that period, without even wondering what the rest of it was about. And then in 2016, I was in a bookshop with a friend, another friend. There's always a female friend involved here in these sparky moments. And we were like, let's do it. Let's do it together. Have you ever done it? Let's do it together. So we both bought copies of the morning pages back when it looked like this. We worked together, as well as being friends, we worked together. So we'd see each other like a few times a week. I think 2 or 3 times a week we would see each other in the office and we'd exchange notes like, how's your week going? Da, 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 da. And we both started off strong. We started off great. We were having a really good time, or at least we were pretending to, until we got to week 4. And we just couldn't get beyond week 4. We threw our arms in the air in despair and said, how is that even possible? We can't do this. This isn't possible. And we both gave up at week 4. And that was that. 2 years ago, I recommitted to this idea. And I no longer had the original book, the one that looked like this. So I was like, I think I'll just buy the audiobook. So I bought the audiobook. And that was okay. I didn't get beyond week 4 again. Last summer, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try again. Somebody in an acting class, they were talking about it, and I was like, oh, I really do feel like trying this again. Let's try it again. I thought, I'll buy a new book. I'll buy the workbook. because I've already got the audiobook, I'll buy the workbook, companion style. It's helpful. It kind of tells you what the tasks are week to week. Not much writing on each page, and there's plenty of space for you to scribble your thoughts and your ramblings. You are supposed to like work on this workbook directly, and as you can tell, I mostly haven't. I then decided that wasn't really quite enough, and so I bought this version of The Artist's Way. The New York Times calls her the Queen of Change, a spiritual path to higher creativity, and thereon, by Julia Cameron, and thereon, spiritual, I've said it. Lots of people have been complaining about the spiritual element, but even Julia in here refers to it as you know, whatever you want to make it. It can be your higher power for those of you who have done like anything like a 12-step program, like I have. Then, you know, that's the higher power can be anything. It could be a bridge, it could be the sea, it could be the cosmos, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be capital G, God. But it could be, or it could be goddess. It could be whatever. She gives it an acronym, good, orderly direction, God, right? Good, orderly direction. And it's just like allowing this channel of creativity to work through us. And that's what her Artist's Way journey is all about. And, you know, I am sick and tired of not having completed it and owning so many versions of it. I just want to do it. I want to do it. So this is the year, my 20th anniversary of on and off doing the morning pages, that I think I will complete the journey, and you can come along with me if you want. But before we get into that, let's just stick to the topic of the morning pages themselves. So like I said, this is just handwritten, stream of consciousness, 3 pages. And you don't have to address your pages to anything. You could just start by saying good morning, or just get into it. Why am I here writing these? It's so boring. Why can't I just be in bed for an extra half an hour? Now, Julia recommends you set your alarm half an hour earlier than usual so that you have time to write the morning pages, suggesting that it should take you approximately half an hour to write them. As people have rightly pointed out, you know, not everyone's handwriting is the same. Not every piece of paper is the same size. So just what exactly is 3 pages? In my head, I feel like there's quite a strict answer to that, because in my head I have a vague memory of reading letter size or A4, but I can't find that. I've tried, I've read through this book and I can't find her saying that anywhere. Maybe it was in the original book, or maybe I've just imagined that to be the case. Here's just a few of the different sizes that I've used for morning pages over the years. That's the most common size, about the same size as my head. This is probably the second most common size, and it's maybe slightly smaller than my head. The size that I think is most true to Julia Cameron's vision is this, that's quite big. I think that is A4 or letter size, whatever. And that does feel quite daunting. It took about a year to fill this one up. Yeah, I didn't always do 3 pages because the pages are so big. You can see sometimes I just did a little paragraph. But sometimes I would do the full pages. And then the smallest that I've ever used is this, because it's a nice travel size. On occasions when I've been away and I didn't want to pack too much, and I knew I was going to have like a pocket book with me, then I would just use the pocket book for the morning pages. Sometimes I would do 3 pages in there, sometimes I would do more, and sometimes, yes, I would do even less. But having used so many different books, sizes for my morning pages, I will say that something does happen when the pages are bigger, I think, and you're pushed through that level of discomfort. But at the end of the day, I don't think it matters, because that shouldn't be the block. That should not be the block. What I do think matters more than the size of the book is the comfortability, the comfort of the book, the way that the book feels in your hands. Like, for example, here are some pages that I tore out of the book because I found the book horribly uncomfortable, and I knew that I could not keep writing in this book. I would not continue the morning pages if I had to stick to writing in this book. So I just tore out the few days that I had done, and I put that with the rest of my morning pages collection of books, because it has to feel, the paper has to feel nice. I'm not saying it has to be spenny penny. It don't have to be spenny. No. It just has to feel like it's not a fight with your hands. I'm very tactile, very sensitive. And so the paper wants to feel like the edges of the pages aren't too sharp, and that it's a soft surface that the pen works in harmony with. And then the pen, also the size of the pen, the smoothness of the writing, these are all very personal things, and I do think it's important to get that balance right if you want to have success at consistency with your morning pages. As I've been discovering what has kept me consistent with the morning pages, it has been me allowing myself to make adaptations along the way. Adaptations, changes, allowances. I feel like there's a better word that I could be using. Anyway, so what are the benefits of doing the morning pages? It really helps us to clear our heads of negative chatter, you know, like that voice that's just like, why are you doing that? Or you should have, and you could have, and you blah, 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 blah. All that negative chit chat. It helps to just get that out. Allow it space, allow it to live, because you can't actually kill it off, you can't actually suppress it. So just allow it, let it come out, let it express itself. Boof, it's had its moment. Walk away and enjoy your day. It also helps to feed our artist child within. If that sounds too woo-woo, it's okay. You don't have to believe it. It's just doing this little bit of magic. It's just doing this little bit of magic. Like, I started doing this again after a little break of a few months at the beginning of this year, right at the top of the year, you know, typical New Year's resolution, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I woke up the other day with this idea for a sketch that I thought might be quite funny, and I was lying in bed still. I was thinking, oh, I really don't want to forget this idea, but I've also got to get up and write the morning pages, and I don't want the morning pages to be about this idea. I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. I didn't have any paper or pen around me. The only thing that I had near the bed, sorry to say, was my iPad. Anyway, so I was like, that's fine. I'll just switch on the voice memo, and I will, I will dictate. I will enact the 3 different characters. I will say their words, and then come back to it later in the day, which is what I did. Worked really well. But I feel sure that burst of creativity or inspiration came to me because I've now had a solid 6-week practice of the morning pages and not missing. And before that, like obviously before that, but this time around, I do feel whenever I'm doing the morning pages that I have more creative energy. It's all flowing a bit more freely. I don't feel as stuck. It helps to get us to the other side of our negativity. So we listen to the bad mood, we listen to the negative thoughts, we write through all of that, and then we get over to the other side. And we look back at that and we wave. It really helps us to know ourselves and our dreams and our hopes, because sometimes when you're writing these morning pages, like suddenly out of, you know, you're not really forcing these ideas or these thoughts, they're coming through you. And before you know it, you're halfway through a thought that you've never really acknowledged before. This is news to you. You didn't know you felt that way. You didn't know you felt that way about a certain thing or a certain person or a certain place. You didn't know that you really didn't want anything more to do with a certain person, or you couldn't stand your job anymore, or you didn't know that secretly what you really wanted to do was go back to acting. That happened to me, no lie, through doing the morning pages. That happened to me through doing the morning pages. It took me a really long time to listen to that voice that was on the pages, but I did, and I never, ever, ever have I regretted it. And Julia has also referred to it as a sort of active meditation. Meditation doesn't just have to be, silently closing our eyes and concentrating on our breath or whatever. You can have moving meditation, you can have walking meditations. When I used to do like hot yoga, the 26 and 2, I used to consider that a form of meditation. Or swimming. And actually when I'm running, I feel like that's a form of meditation. But yeah, also this morning pages is in a way a kind of meditation. And then one of the juiciest things that I think it does is it shifts us from like left brain logic thinking into right brain creativity. And I think it does that because it allows left brain logic, practicality, logistics, bleh, to dump and get it all out on paper. And so then this is all freed up. This all gets freed up to play. Something that I find really useful when I'm doing the morning pages is to keep a stack of paper, like whether it's sticky notes or whether it's like a pocket notebook or whatever it might be, just that I can jot down like things that like if I've written down, oh, I really have to do, I'll just jot it down. And then I can go back, because you're not really meant to reread the morning pages. They're just meant to be done and then forgotten about. Which is why there are plenty more notebooks that I've had over the years that I've actually tossed into the recycling, because you don't need to keep them. So the rules. I think I've already gone over the rules, but let's just do it again. Non-negotiable. Every morning, get up, sit down in front of your notebook and write. 3 pages, handwritten, uncensored, rambling. Right? Right. Just write. Even if it's, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, that will inspire you having something to write. It will come. It will come. You can even, I found this quite helpful, ask questions. What should I write? What would you like me to write about? Decide who you're writing to, if it's helpful. I start my morning pages with Dear Beautiful Cosmos. It's changed. It hasn't always been that. It's been different things. That's the one I've landed on that feels the most right for me. Could change again. I also like to open with like a gratitude, but that's just me. And I haven't always done it that way. But currently it's like, Dear Beautiful Cosmos, thank you for bringing me here today, or something like that. Thank you for a beautiful night's sleep. Thank you for my dreams. And then whatever. But occasionally, doing it at that time of day it just isn't possible. And I do know people who say, I love the morning pages, I'm just not a morning person, I have to do them at night. And while I am a morning person, so I'm a bit like, you're not doing it right. But there isn't actually any wrong way. And she says this over and over and over again. There isn't actually really any wrong way to do it. So if you're doing it at a different time of day is what it takes to make you do it, then try different times of day. A couple of weeks ago, I had a couple of shoot days that were very early mornings. And I wake up early in any case. I'm like a 4 a.m. crazy kook. So I couldn't really wake up any earlier than that, to fit the morning pages in. So I just decided to take my morning pages book with me on the train and do them on the train. So it wasn't actually technically the first thing that I did, but I was still writing my morning pages at around about 6. Which is later than I would normally do that, but that's not the point. It's not the point. I still got them done. Consistency. And yeah, instead of focusing on a page count, you could just set a timer. This has been really helpful to me when I've been struggling to get the 3 pages in, when I've been working in books that are maybe a bit bigger than I can actually handle. Then I'll just be like, okay, I'll set a timer for 30 minutes. I'll say 30 minutes or 3 pages, whichever comes first. Boom. Just adapt to what works for you. If I'm able to customize and tweak the morning pages, then surely I can also customize and tweak the artist way when it's time to start, which I think it's time to start. So let's just call this week 0, shall we? This is just the gearing up to trying and doing it again. This is the year that I get through it. It's just 12 weeks and I can do it. I can do it. And if I can do it, then you can do it. We can do this. However, having said all of that, there is another book that I'm really, really interested in working through, and that is Syllabus. What is that? Syllabus by Linda Barry. Look at it, it's just complete, it's just the complete opposite in many ways. It's just a bit of beautiful chaos in there, but I'm sure that there's method to the madness. And I'm really interested in trying to be more artistically creative. What do I mean by that? Because I think what I mean by that is drawing. I would like to draw more. I'd like to make things more. No, we're not going to bring this up. It's just going to muddy the idea. Just not going to bring this up. Thank you so much for being here, and let me know if you have you done it? Have you done the morning pages? What's your experience of it? Yeah, I think this might not be a very good video because, again, I haven't scripted it. Oh, when am I going to learn to script a video?